MPs Mehdi Hasan to speak against the motion.
Thank you, Tim. Let's be very clear. This is not a debate about the face veil. And I'm not here to defend the face veil. I'm not a fan of the niqab or the burqa. I'm not a fan of tongue studs or belly button rings. I'm not a fan of Jacques' tie either. The point is, however...
This is your problem.
The point is, it is my problem. The point is that this is a debate about the French ban, and there are three very, very simple reasons why we should all be opposed to the French ban. Number one, it's unnecessary. Number two, it's self-defeating. Number three, it's morally wrong. It's unnecessary because less than 2,000 women in France wear the face veil. That's 0.1% of the 2 million adult Muslim women in France. That's 0.003% of the French population as a whole. This is not just taking a sledgehammer to crack a nut. This is like reaching for a bazooka to kill a fly. It is totally disproportionate and unnecessary. And it's self-defeating too, because all it does is it alienates an alienated Muslim minority in France, and it encourages young women in France to act defiantly and break the law and be different. And in fact, we already have evidence that the ban, which is supposed to liberate women, is already secluding and marginalizing and isolating those very same women. You look in Italy in April this year, where a Tunisian-born woman became the first person to be fined for wearing a veil in public. Her husband promptly announced that she would no longer leave the house so that he would avoid paying any more fines. So instead of being imprisoned in her veil, she's now imprisoned in her home. That's what the French call women's liberation. But above all else, it is morally wrong for the state to infringe on women's freedom to choose what they want to wear in public. Whether you like the veil or not, the French ban violates freedom of thought, of conscience, of expression, of religion, a whole string of fundamental human rights, which can now no longer be taken for granted in modern France. There's a reason why leading human rights groups, from Amnesty International to Human Rights Watch, are opposed to this ban, because restricting a woman's freedom to wear the face veil in public is as much a violation of her human rights as it is to force her to wear that same face veil. And I wonder what's happened to the liberty, equality, and fraternity in France. Instead, you have this illiberal, iniquitous, unjust ban, and the parliamentarians in Paris should hang their heads in shame.
Okay, Mehdi Hasan, thank you very much indeed. You say the ban is unnecessary. That's a pretty subjective judgment. There are plenty of people who think it is, so it's just your view. You say it's self-defeating, but we don't know yet because it doesn't come into force for 6 months. And you say it's alienated Muslims, but there are plenty of Muslims who support it. So that doesn't hold up either, does it?
Well, I'm not quite sure where the question is that. Are you saying all of my points are wrong?
Well, I'm just saying those particular points.
Well, no, because I gave you an example of where it is.
How do we know it's self-defeating?
Well, I gave you an example. In Italy.
You gave me one person, yeah.
That doesn't make it self-defeating. We haven't had the ban yet.
Exactly.
I can come back in a year and we can have the debate again.
Exactly, but to label it self-defeating now is a
little premature,
isn't
Well, it is self-defeating.
But it hasn't had a chance to be there yet. It hasn't even come into force yet.
Well, in my view, what I'm arguing tonight, Tim, without looking into a crystal ball, is that it is a self-defeating ban based on the evidence we have. It's self-defeating based on all evidence.
On what evidence?
Well, when you ban things and minorities, we have a history across Europe of when you ban things, when you target minorities, they don't, for example, just do as they're told.
So minorities should always get their own way, and if not, they should shout racism and Islamophobia.
Who shouted racism and Islamophobia, Tim? I don't believe I did.
You've quoted people in your articles.
I didn't quote anyone saying racism and Islamophobia at the moment. I'm saying right now, Tim, to you, is that, for example, in 2006, you want another example?
Here's your article in the New Statement. Such has been
I'll give you a second example.
You have
2006,
quoted it, actually.
Jack Straw, 2006, in Britain, said, oh, women should not wear face veils when they come into my surgery. Do you know what happened in Lancashire, Tim? I worked for Sky News then. We went round Lancashire. Every single person who owned a hijab shop said, Niqab sales have increased. Young women are coming in here to wear it because they believe that they're being targeted by the British state. That is what will happen in France. I guarantee it.
Why is it so hard to understand that the French are doing this? Because they simply don't like the Niqab any more than you. The state already tells people what they can wear and what they can't wear. It already sets limits. You say women shouldn't be told what they can wear and what they can't wear.
That's fine.
Already
so
limits.
The French don't like the Niqab, that's fine, but it's still a violation of people's freedom.
But they're already
what happened to
limits on
people's
what you
freedom,
can wear. What happens to the limits that every society sets on what people can wear?
Of course.
And you claim they don't?
Well, Tim, hold on. The difference is when a society sets limits on what they can wear, they make it a universal limit. They don't target a minority in their borders.
It's different in each country. There are no universal limits. It's different in each country.
You can't target 2,000 women of a marginalised minority in a mainstream European country where a government that doesn't tackle 10% unemployment rates...
It doesn't say it's targeting women. It just says it's...
Hold on. The French political elite have spent years debating this small article of clothing, as you described it in the opening, rather than tackle, for example, 20% unemployment rates among its Muslim minorities, rather than tackle the banking crisis,
that's just saying countries have other problems. That's just saying countries have other problems. It's not a zero-sum game, is it?
No. Well, I wonder why it is that the French are so obsessed with this article of clothing.
Well, we're going to find out what the audience thinks now, because it's time to throw the question open to them. The motion before